Hey, you know what happened to me yesterday?
Oh, fun.
So I was on a bus, right? And all of a sudden it went whoosh, like over this huge bump.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It really made me think about how things can, shake you up unexpectedly.
Oh, man, I totally get that. It's kind of like when you're just walking and you trip on a little rock you didn't even notice. That quick, unexpected wobble.
Exactly that feeling. And it reminded me of something my friend told me about a really, really shaky experience she had on an airplane.
Okay.
And that's actually what we're going to talk about today. Turbulence. You know, when airplanes get bumpy, for anyone listening who feels maybe a little bit nervous when the plane moves around, well, we've got some personal stories, some easy ideas that might help you feel a bit better.
Right, because, yeah, when the plane starts to shake, it can definitely feel a bit strange, can't it?
It really can. So stick around. And hey, if you like what you hear today, maybe think about subscribing or hitting like. It helps us keep making helpful stuff. So, my friend, she was flying home, and she said she experienced the craziest turbulence ever.
Oh, really? What did she say happened?
She told me the plane just suddenly dropped, like a noticeable dip down. She said people actually screamed, made loud noises.
Wow.
Yeah, and bags started falling from the overhead bins.
That-
The whole thing.
Oh, no, that sounds genuinely scary. It's that feeling of not being in control, right? That sudden loss of...
Totally. That's exactly what she said.
Yeah.
She was so afraid. She honestly thought maybe the plane was, going to crash.
Oh, goodness.
Thankfully, they landed safely and everything was okay, but she said it really shook her up. Now she's actually quite afraid to fly again. Made her very nervous.
Wow. That's a really strong reaction.
Yeah.
But I can absolutely understand why, even if our logical brain knows turbulence is usually okay,
Right.
it feels really, really unsettling in your body when it's happening. I actually had something a little bit like that happen to me once. I was flying to Tokyo.
No way. Really? What happened on your flight?
Well, it was so fast. Like 1 minute, I was just sitting there drinking my juice,
Right.
and next second, whoosh, my juice kind of went up in the air a little bit.
Seriously?
Yeah, it almost touched the ceiling. And even the flight attendants, the people working on the plane, they had to sit down super quickly.
Wow.
You could see everyone on the plane looked a little bit scared, kind of gripping their armrests really tight. It was just
Yeah.
a big surprise for everyone.
That sounds just like what my friend described. That suddenness must be the really worrying part.
Exactly.
Did the pilot, the person flying the plane, say anything about it?
Yeah, he did, but only after the shaking stopped. He came on the speaker and just said something like, "That was a little bit unexpected, folks. Please keep your seatbelts fastened."
Just like that. Calm.
Pretty calm, yeah. But honestly, even hearing that, it still made me feel a little bit nervous for the rest of the flight.
Yeah.
You're kind of just waiting, wondering if it'll happen again.
Oh, I know exactly what you mean. That waiting feeling. I remember one time I was on a flight at night. It was super smooth, really calm. And then bang, just sudden big shaking.
Oh, wow.
The plane didn't really drop much, not like my friend's story, but it just kept shaking quite strongly for maybe 20 minutes.
20 minutes?
Yeah.
Wow, that's actually a pretty long time for that constant shaking feeling.
Yeah.
Were there many people around you?
Not really. I was sitting kind of by myself way in the back of the plane. And I always feel like you can feel the bumps more back there,
Yeah, some people say that. Feels a bit more like the tail wagging.
Right. And I have to admit, I even started sort of talking to myself, like praying a little bit. And I'm not usually religious or anything, but in that moment, I was just really hoping we would land safely.
Oh, I completely hear you. It can bring out reactions you don't expect. I remember once seeing a small child on a flight during some bumps,
Ooh.
and he was crying and shouting that he was scared. You could just see the pure worry on his little face. It's a reminder that even if adults try to keep it together, it could be really upsetting for anyone.
Oh, that poor little kid. It must be so much scarier if you don't understand what's happening or if it's your first time flying.
Exactly.
Actually, another friend told me that on his very first flight ever, they hit really bad turbulence. He didn't fly again for 10 whole years.
10 years. Wow. That's a long time to avoid flying because of one bad experience. But it shows how strong that feeling can be.
It really does. It just feels like the plane is out of control, even if, like you said, your brain knows it's probably fine. Your body just doesn't believe it's safe in that moment.
Exactly. Your body's reaction is just fear. But, I was reading that it's incredibly rare for turbulence itself to actually cause serious problems for modern airplanes. They're
Yeah.
built to be so strong.
Right, I've heard that too. Super strong, but still, when it's actually happening to you up there, it just feels very, very uncomfortable.
It really does. But, over the years, I've kind of picked up a few little tricks or things that seem to help me feel a bit calmer when the shaking starts.
Oh, yeah. Like what? I could use some tips.
Well, for one thing, I always try now to pick a seat that's over the wing of the airplane.
Over the wing. Why there?
They say that part of the plane is structurally more stable, closer to the center of lift. So the ride might feel a little smoother there compared to the very back or the very front.
Oh, interesting. I usually like to sit by the window, often in the back, to see the view. Maybe I should try sitting over the wing next time I fly. See if it feels different.
It might be worth a try. Also, something else I've noticed, or maybe just think I've noticed, flights in the morning often seem to have smoother air than flights later in the day.
Really? Morning flights?
Yeah, the air is often calmer in the morning before the sun has heated things up and caused more air currents. It's not always true, of course, but maybe something to consider.
Huh. That's a good tip to know. I'll try and remember that next time I'm booking. Something I've started doing is taking chewing gum with me when I fly.
Oh, yeah. For your ears or...
Well, partly, but also just the act of chewing. It's kind of rhythmic. And I also put on some very calm music in my headphones. It seems to help me relax just a little bit. Zone out.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Distraction and calming input. And another thing for me, it's become a real habit. I always make sure to keep my seatbelt fastened, even when the seatbelt sign is turned off.
Oh, absolutely. Me too now. A friend of mine actually bumped her head once.
Oh, no.
Yeah, she had taken her seatbelt off just to shift position or something, and then the plane hit a sudden bump. Wasn't even major turbulence, just one jolt.
Ouch. See? That's why. Just keep it loosely fastened whenever you're seated. It's just safer.
Definitely a good habit.
And, something else that helps me mentally. I just try to remember that the pilots, the people flying the plane, they do this every single day.
Right. It's their job.
Exactly. They're incredibly trained to handle all sorts of weather and air conditions. It's routine for them. And the airplane itself, it's engineered to be really, really strong. It's built to handle way more stress than turbulence usually causes.
That's actually a really good point to focus on, their calmness.
Yeah.
I remember once after a flight that had some decent bumps, I was chatting with one of the flight attendants as we were leaving.
Yeah.
And she just smiled and said something like, "Oh, that happens all the time. Honestly, we're usually more worried about spilling our coffee during turbulence than about the plane having a problem."
Haha. That's actually kind of funny.
Yeah.
And it does put it in perspective, doesn't it?
Right. It makes it seem much less dramatic or dangerous. So now, when the plane starts to shake, I actually try to picture the pilots up front. Calm, focused, just doing their job. They aren't freaking out.
That's a really smart mental strategy. If they're not worried, maybe I don't need to be either.
Exactly. Trying to channel that calm pilot energy.
Yeah. Another thing that sometimes helps me if I happen to have a window seat is to actually look outside.
Oh, yeah. Doesn't seeing the plane shake make it worse?
Not always. Sometimes just seeing the clouds drifting by or the blue sky above, it kind of grounds you. Reminds you that you are still flying high and the world outside the window looks pretty normal even if it feels bumpy inside.
Okay. I can see how that might work, like proof that you're not falling out of the sky.
Kinda, yeah. It offers a different perspective.
That's a nice idea. I usually go the other way and try to distract myself completely. Like, I'll play little games on my phone or get really into a book.
Distractions is definitely a good tactic, too. Anything to keep your mind occupied and not just focused on every little dump and shake.
Exactly. Keep the brain busy.
Something else I've tried, and it sounds a bit out there maybe, but I sometimes bring a tiny little bottle of lavender essential oil with me.
Lavender oil.
Yeah. I just put a tiny drop on my wrist or hands, cup my hands, and take a few slow, deep breaths. The scent is known for being calming, And focusing on deep breathing helps anyway.
Oh, I've heard lavender is calming. I should definitely try that next time. It sounds like it could actually really help take the edge off.
It might. Worth a shot. Different things work for different people,
Absolutely. Well, let's just hope our next flights are all nice and smooth.
Let's hope. But even if there is some shaking, it's good to remember that modern planes are really built to handle it. And hopefully these little ideas we talked about can help folks listening feel a little better prepared, maybe a little less anxious about it.
Absolutely. And really, if you're listening to this and you do get nervous when a plane shakes, please just remember you are definitely not alone. So many people feel the same way.
Oh, absolutely. It's a very common feeling.
Ah,
And we all get through it.
we do.
So the main thing is just try to stay calm, focus on taking slow, even breaths. Maybe remind yourself to trust the airplane and the super experienced pilots who know exactly what they're doing. And definitely keep that seatbelt fastened just in case.
Great summary. So yeah, to wrap it all up, turbulence, when airplanes shake, it can feel pretty scary, that's true. But it's usually not dangerous at all.
Right.
Sharing our own stories can sometimes help us feel less alone with the fear, and trying out these simple tips like where you sit or chewing gum or thinking like a pilot can maybe make it a little easier to handle when it happens.
Exactly. Stay calm, breathe slowly, trust the process, trust the plane, and keep that seatbelt on. Simple but effective reminders.
Perfect. And one last time, if you found this chat helpful or interesting, please do subscribe or give us a like. It really helps us make more deep dives into topics like this.
Yeah, we would appreciate it. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Thanks for joining the conversation here at Kaz English. We hope you found it fun and informative. Don't forget to check out kazapp.uk. That's kazapp.uk for more tips, resources, and interactive practice. Keep exploring, keep chatting, and we'll catch up with you again soon.